What's going on, everybody? This is David Mitchell here, and welcome back to Fan to Trains. And yep, it is Train Galore. We got a Train Galore episode today. And boy, oh boy, oh boy, got some good stuff in here. Here, like, some pretty cool stuff. Check that out. Got some super interesting locomotives and stuff, which I'm pretty interested in. Also, they got some Elcos. I like this the most. For anybody who don't know, I'm an Alco person. The Alco Century 424 and 425. Which they got so many right here. Like, let me tell y'all again. Like, literally, I love Alco. They're some of my favorite locomotives. Also, I forgot an in-scale tank car and stuff. Which, for anybody who know me, I'm doing like a modern, and I mean modern train layout set in the modern era in this period. And it's what I'm thinking about with how everything's going. Also, look at it right here. I got some cool stuff about CN and what they did the 250 locomotive too. But yeah, look at that. To be honest, I like this right here, that photo. That feel like a short line railroad right there, having like a short line railroad with a, maintenance facility and all that. That would feel like to me. But yeah, look at it. All this stuff look awesome. They got a ton of chickweed, both in scale and an HO for this center beam car and the box car. So yeah. Also, they got the tune for the new Acela, or the Avail Liberty train set right here. Look at that. That looked cool. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I'll just say this. That looked super cool. And, oh boy. They look fun, but technically, here train set. There are 2 of the locomotives. But look at rolling stock. You do, if you want, you can order more rolling stock with this. But I'm not gonna lie, this looks pretty awesome. In a way, like, pretty awesome when you did think about it. But yeah. Got them at the 7th, at the 9th, at the 10th. Which are good locomotives. And yes, I am on a tight schedule type of stuff, if y'all get what I mean. Because we're on to our getting ready to go on to our track plan, which a narrow gauge at the Durango and Rio Grande Western. But before I do, so this and then the massive narrow gauge track plan. Did it both be set like in the heyday, like in 1928, on one of the divisions? For people who don't know, the Rio Grande was a massive narrow gauge railroad. It would technically, if it was still around today, it would have been classified as a regional railroad, but in narrow gauge form. That would have been classified in modern standards, which it did crazy because you got multiple interchanges, like literally because of how big the route and the railroad really was. Which, to be honest, I think it's pretty awesome. Because they also got into Pueblo. But it was a pretty big railroad at its height. And I mean, it was one of the biggest narrow gauge railroads in the U.S. Which, for people who don't know, the Durango and Rio Grande was a big, big railroad. Heck, they even had a standard gauge rail system. Technically, they were not a regional, they were actually a Class 1. The Durango and Rio Grande was a Class 1 railroad. Because they had both standard and narrow gauge. Their narrow gauge railroad lasted up until the 1960s. And, well, luckily, two areas got put in preservation, which that was a miracle. But yeah, like it's a miracle when you start looking at the history and stuff. Because this railroad, when you know the history, it did blow your mind. But, yeah. But, it did create talk about. Also, got some interesting stuff right here. Which, is the Pacific Electric Railroad. Which, we all know what happened to that railroad. Like, I'm going to go on a quick tangent right here for what happened to that railroad. Out of all the interurbans that got done dirty, that railroad was one that got screwed over the worst. Because, corruptions and stuff. Like, it was a miracle that it made it to the late 50s. But, with what happened, it was utterly disgusting and evil. What happened to the Pacific Electric Company. Because it fell victim to the stuff that I talk about with how big automotive with their lion and shit. That what saying that done it in like it, but also it gets a super cool right there. Like, don't get me wrong, that look awesome. Look at that. Like, and it both be like a diesel locomotive. In a way, technically, yeah, it is a diesel locomotive, but it's pretty cool looking. A freelance locomotive basket. Like, think that awesome. Heck, if I go into, like, it would be one that I would do for my railroad, like, a little tour logo that made it into preservation, like a made-up story about it, and how it made it into preservation and all that. That would be cool. But yeah. But the thing that made the book worth it was the narrating and also the alcoves. That what made the magazine worth the buy. And yes, you're going to probably see more alcoves. Alcoholic. I should have saved that meme for this live stream. But also, got another small tidbit for a track plan right here. So this one did came with 2, which does count. It kind of interesting with how this is. Because one, it like an industrial area, like it's actually Conrail. Is what it is. So, we all know Conrail is Fallen Flag Railroads. To be honest, let me be honest, that should have not became a Fallen Flag Railroad. Should have been still around. But yeah, stuff happens. And also, look up back. Rapido trains also getting into the action. Like literally, the C425, like literally, Rapido train got their own Alco model. So, yeah, you like did see a full of Alcos, with it did in my favor for the Alcos. That one in a favor for. Ooh. Ooh. I did pop my kneecap. Oh, trust me, y'all don't know how that is. But also, we're going on to Auto Railroader magazine now. And there is a throwback layout in here that I have showed before on live stream. So, yeah. But there are pretty cool track plans in here. Also, you got the Acela set right there. Like, I'm not even kidding. You got Bachmann. Like, to be honest, a lot of people crap on Bachmann, but to be honest, when it comes to N-Scale and a lot of their stuff, they're actually pretty good. Like, their HO sets are damn well. Same with their G-Scale. Like, if anybody ever going to Garden Railroading with a G-Scale, you go with Bachmann or LGB, which are 2 of the best when it came to that. But yeah, also look at all the ton of the N-Scale rolling stock and HO rolling stock and all that, and the locomotive. Like, they literally got and this is my favorite right here, because I might get, this might sound crazy, power, if they have like a ETI 38.2, with yet, even though I'm a 4-axle person, I would like maybe have like a 6-axle unit, 1, maybe 2 for long freight, but you know, that if I get a big train layout. But it did crazy when you did think about it. Now, I'll be honest, today, last day and a half, I have not been on social media and all that, so a ton of my friends who normally talk to me, people I know, I have not been talking to anybody on social media for like a couple days. So yeah, I took one of those breaks. But yeah, it is cool. But also, we have an RIP to one of my track plan in Arkansas, which a paper mill, which and no more. So R.I.P. So like some of the lines that I normally have are disappearing. And working the switching. in Miami, the CXX Miami downtown spur. If people don't know, it baiting on a real area. Did not the whole track plan? Like the whole track plan to the it big. And the error setting, you know? It's actually set like near modern and all that. So it can still fit modern era, but when you look at it, you would know. But it is pretty cool when you actually look how it operates and stuff. Because you got a ton of switching on it. Also, we got our next one right after that with actually 2 and 1. Same layout, but in 2 different scale. First, I'm going to show y'all the HO scale version. Like, look at that. Like, you might we have like switching at the beginning of the line and a couple of customer, but it won't be main line running for the HO one. The in scale one, on the other hand, and before I do so, but look at that. I have to turn it sideways for y'all to see. But for the in scale variant, it got a ton of switching, and you can do point A to point B operations on it. But it got a ton more switching. It got like 3 rail yards. With literally. But here it is. Like, look at that. That's the in-scale variant, which is fucking crazy. Look. That make it worth, in a way. Also, we got the Märklin German stuff. But yeah, you also got some real photo of the rail scene on the other side. But here's something the CB, like a switching layout that we're coming up to now, which, to be honest, I will show it all at once. And look at it, looked good, but you know, I'm more into modern switching, but it's set in the early 50s. Still good, don't get me wrong. But modern switching is where I like, but yeah, but look at it. And also something good. Talk about the Missouri Pacific and all that. But yeah. And also we're coming up on one of my favorite layout of the issue, which in the Pacific Northwest, which I think the one at best before we do so. It's the biggest one out of all of them when it comes to HO. And it's set in my birth year, 1998. Which, yeah, like, if y'all can see it, it's set in my birth year of 1998. Like, June, or, which, ironically, 2 months before I was born, so the layout take place 2 months before I will even with birth. So, but you know, I could modernize it with my taste. Got some pretty cool theme. But look at the track plan. Like, look at that. That what you call a. It's exactly what you call a club layout right here. I'm not even joking. This is a club layout. It is a double main on both ends, but you got a ton of switching. You got a ton of customer, but this layout is good. And you got multiple type of freight and stuff for it. With worth it. But yeah. It's something I would say. But that track plan, the last track plan into what made it worth a buy. Because here at Teen, it could be set also in a modern era. That first one too. Also look at it. Like, to be honest, I love my modern train layout because it's something that fit me. Also look at it. I think that's cute. That is cute. But yeah, but we're coming up on. Also, here at Body Yard of the week. Oh, Val.
David,
Read. You gotta read this.
So you honor your grandpa's memory for while we're voting? Absolutely, his ashes make great ballast.
That sounds super dirty, you know? Great ballast, you know? Sound like a curse. But yeah. Also here at the New York Hutchins. But yeah, but though with the track plan and the magazine for Ditma, with I would say that track plan toward the end brought the score up because let me be honest, I too say that I have seen some good track plan and some bad track plans. No offense to some people out there, but I have seen some super fantastic track plans and all of that. That when it came to model railroading and trains and stuff. But yeah. Hopefully Genesis picks up soon because it's time to get to the big railroad news. But yeah, it's super crazy. Ooh. But I will say this. My muscles are sore. And so he's not online right now. Let me go to Facebook and see if he on. Up there, yeah.